What's up guys, my name's Diachronic here on this Destiny video, and today we're going to be talking about how to get your light up very quickly in Warmind and absolutely max out everything you possibly can to get ready for the raid layer that's coming out tomorrow, or just in general, get your light up as much as you can in a single week. Now, a lot of these things you may know already. I'm going to be talking about the milestones being the most important part, but there's a lot of little details that a lot of people don't know, as well as little tricks and tips and the ordering of the milestones that is very important to maximize your light as much as physically possible. If you find anything informative or you do end up liking this video, make sure you leave a like down below. It really helps the channel out, really gets this video out so other people can level up as fast as possible and join you for the raid layers and not be underleveled. And of course, subscribe for more Destiny 2 in the future. So starting off at the first tip, you're going to want to finish the campaign of the Warmind DLC. You're going to find yourself around 340 to 345 light, depending on how much gear you had already, how much legendary mods you had, what you were before. Technically, the soft cap for blues is 335 and soft cap for purples is 340. And by soft cap, I mean this is the cap for those particular items that will help you in the future. So technically, when you start the DLC, blues will be able to be higher than you currently are, up to 335. Once you reach that 335, they will no longer help you, and then they will drag behind you 10 light level. Same goes for purple for 340. Now, before I start on the next part, I wanted to mention a very important tip. At tip number 2, you do not need to have stuff equipped to affect the drops in your world. And secondarily, legendary mods don't affect the drops in the world. So technically, a 335 helmet with the legendary mod from the previous, that was the maximum. Technically, the base level for that was 330, and that is what affected drops that you had in the world. Let me provide you an example. If you find a 334 blue helmet in the wild with no legendary mods on it, you currently have equipped a 335 helmet with a legendary mod. Just having that 334 blue helmet in your inventory, not equipped, not infused into the old helmet, technically the drops in the world will be affected and raised. So technically, as you go along, as long as you're not too low of a light level for the area around you, you do not need to infuse or equip any of the new items. You can keep your old legendary gear. Like for example, me, I wanted to look like a samurai the whole time. I didn't want to equip any blue gear. So all you have to do is keep the highest level item in your inventory. Every time you get a new higher level, you can delete the old one. And just keep on doing that over and over. So as I was doing all my raids and stuff, I was getting new items, higher level items. I was not equipping them, and the new items, I can guarantee you this is fully tested and understood. The new items dropped were affected by the items in my inventory, even though I was not equipping them. And the very last point I want to make on this particular subject is that exotic items are kind of finicky with this. So what the system does is it basically makes a calculation of the maximum possible gear score that you could possibly have based on what's your inventory instead of what you have equipped. Therefore, if you have multiple exotics that are higher than what you have, let's say you have an exotic arm and an exotic chest, technically, the system will know that you cannot equip 2 exotic items at the exact same time and will figure out the best combination between the 2 of those. So what you have to do with those items is infuse those into legendary gear, and then the system will more easily be able to get a higher light. So the best way to handle those things is every time you get an exotic that's better than you currently have, if you have no other competing exotic in the section like armors or guns, then infuse that into a legendary piece of gear that is, equivalent, like a hand cannon into a hand cannon. And that will allow the system to more easily find the best possible maximum. So with that out of the way, let's talk about tip number 3 is going to be the order of milestone. The first thing you want to do is do the normal raid. Now the normal raid's only at 300. The prestige raid is also at 300, but I'm going to be talking about why you're not going to do that in a little bit. After that, do the Argos raid. Normal and Argos, you can do those first or second, interchangeable. And third, do the Prestige Leviathan. Now, the very specific reason why you want to do Prestige after normal is the way the drops work. So when you go through on normal, you're getting singular item drops from the raid. As you get those single item drops from each encounter, the next encounter will have a higher light based on that previous drop. In the Prestige raid, you get both the normal and the Prestige rewards. So as you get drops, you get double drops at the same time. So each one of those items are not affected by each other. So let's say I'm doing the Prestige raid, I get a gun and I get an armor. The gun does not help the armor and the armor does not help the gun. But if I would have gone through on normal first, I got the gun the first time, I go through the whole thing, when I come back through on Prestige, that armor piece will be affected by all the previous ones that I've gotten. So in general, you want to get single items more than double items. Most of the milestones are double items, some of them are single, and for the most part, you want to go through these singles before the doubles to max out as much as possible. If you don't have that much time, or you don't want to waste that much time doing normal then Prestige, then just do Prestige first. It's not that much different, but if you want to max out 100%, this is what this video is trying to help you do. I would also like to recommend that you do the raid Castellum. That also has a very nice engram attached to it. I recommend doing that after you do your normal raids. Because it's an engram, you have to go decrypt it, and since it's locked in as soon as you get it, it's very important that you do that after the raid instead of before the raid, or the very latest, do it after the 3 encounters and do it before Callus, you know. Because this engram is not a luminous engram, but it is a powerful engram that usually is above your current gear score. After doing that, I would recommend collecting the clan engrams. These are the engrams you do as clan members together, not the clan XP one you do for yourself, but the ones you have to do with your clan that you unlock for the entire clan. Those ones for clan engrams, raid engrams, trials, and the other one. Get these first because again, they are singular items. They are singular engrams. They only give you one thing at a time. Also, I found that they're kind of glitchy and they oftentimes give you lower light than everything else. After getting those, then you're going to start doing the rest of the milestones. You can do them in pretty much any order. I personally would recommend leaving heroic strikes for last because heroic strikes are actually pretty hard these days, especially with the new modifiers and being at 350 light. A lot of us are not near 350 light, so it kind of destroys us. And technically, you can do your milestones in any order as long as you don't claim them until you're ready to claim them at the very end. If you're doing the specific order, technically you can do all your heroic strikes and your nightfalls before doing your raids and then just claim them later because the light level will raise as you get the new equipment. Coming up at tip number 4 is going to be equalizing after some packages. A lot of the times you'll find yourself, a lot of packages will just stack up on, let's say, your primary gun, your helmet, and your chest, and these things will be much higher than everything around it. You're going to need to equalize a little bit to max out as much as you can. If you find that you're getting duplicates of the same thing, go out and do some heroic events, do some regular stuff that won't be the powerful engrams of the milestones, and have the rest of the armors equalized. You won't really have to do this very much because you're going to have these drops be like 10 light levels ahead, but if you find that you have one piece of armor or gun that's 10 light levels behind everything else, then you're going to want to equalize that set before claiming your next milestone so you can avoid wasting light. Coming up in the next tip is going to be the exotic quests. They don't help. They do not raise your gear score. The exotic quest for the Worldline 0 exotic sword gave me at 345 when I was already getting 345s from legendaries. The sleeper stimulant was pretty much the exact same. I don't know about the previous exotic quest. If you had them saved up like a Midas sitting at the gunsmith like me, they might help you, but the current and new exotic quest will not help your gear score. Next tip is getting your raid chest. These things have a chance of giving me exotic gear, which will be higher than we currently have. So after completing the Leviathan on normal or on prestige, whatever you do, go through and get those chests, get those engrams, and make sure you decrypt them as soon as possible because they are an engram and they will lock in immediately, and you should get those as soon as you can. Coming up at tip number 8 is going to be proactive raid keys. Now, most people understand once you get your raid key, it will reset on the next week's reset, and you cannot keep raid keys week to week. With the coming DLC, you couldn't just build up a bunch of raid keys and then use them when the DLC came out. They wanted to avoid you being able to do this. However, technically, there is a way to keep your raid keys. If you max out your inventory and have the raid keys get sent to your postmaster, the postmaster will retain all of the raid keys. So if you collected up to 60, 20 on each character, you could have had 60 raid keys to begin the DLC, and that could have raised your light level maybe 10, 15 light levels, and that is total gear score, and of course give you all the exotics for the DLC without even trying. You just have to unlock all those chests again and again and again in the underbelly. Now, obviously, you can't do this. It's already past. The time for getting raid keys was weeks ago. I only learned about this yesterday, but perhaps in the future DLC, in the next one, you can actually do this. And the very last tip I want to give you guys, tip number 9, is going to be multiple characters and gun transfer. Now, this is a pretty commonly known thing. Once you do all that you can on a possible week, all your milestones on a singular character, then you go on a second character. In this instance, you have to get to level 34 first, transfer all your guns from the first character, which will be much higher light score, which will raise the average gear score for drops on your second character, bring them over to that character, equip them. They have to be equipable, so you can't just send them over at level 25. You have to equip them at level 30 since they'll be a higher light. Their beginning average will raise immediately, and it will make it so a lot higher lights can be dropped. and then of course repeat this process on the third character. After this is all said and done, I would technically assume the highest possible light anyone could have assumed before the raid layer comes out is 370 light, which is actually pretty insane. This being said, I think that 10 of those light levels, or 10 to 15, would be from those 60 exotic chests. Without that exotic chest things, I would say in general you could get up to 360 light with this strategy. And this is before the 3 characters. This is 360 before the 3 characters, before those raid keys and whatnot. If you do 3 characters, I would expect you could get around 365 to 370, but of course that is a lot of work to do in 3 days. And that's pretty much the video for you guys today. Please let me know in the comments down below if there's something that I missed. I tried to make as best a list as I possibly could. If there was a problem with the order, let me know in the comments down below. I'll put a comment down below saying edit. I'll pin it to the top. If there was something, a kind of trick that I missed, maybe perhaps with Cade's maps. Technically you can do Cade's maps, but I didn't really like doing Cade's maps because I never end up getting exotics and it's always one. Please let me know in the comments down below if there was something that I missed. Anyways, that's the video for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoy. My name's been Chronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.